opinions from both you guys about adjoiners, or calls for adjoiners. You'd like to elaborate on that, Darrell, and then Nedra pitch
Well,
in?
I really meant to say something about it earlier, that I think sometimes that call is taken too lightly. That when a survey calls to adjoin another survey, that ties that line together. It don't matter where the survey line is, the two lines are going to be the same. When it calls for a joiner, I mean, wherever you locate that, those two lines are together. And too many times it's overlooked in reconstruction of land boundaries, and they take a distance and they don't get to that line, and they say, well, it didn't go there, it went across, and I think sometimes it's taken too light, it being called for a joiner, or even sometimes they may even call for a corner but don't call for the line. They say, well, it didn't call for a joiner. Well, if it's calling for the corner, it very well is going to be that line. And
Just a call for the corner of another track is also a call for the line. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if it's a call for that track is
right.
The line, yes.
Yeah, again, we go back to people mixing distance up and mixing the priority of calls.
Well, and we play what I like to say is a distance game, where you got all types of adjoining surveys, and by looking at the combination of distances given on those other surveys, you could put survey lines in dozens of different places by giving preference to one of the calls or the other. And you can't look to the calls of another survey if this survey can be located by its own call. And so that's a pretty important thing that a lot of people forget about. They'll take the call of an adjoining survey and say, I'm going to locate it. And that very well could be a position that you can take somewhere. But most of the time, if you can locate that survey by its own call, it's located by it.
Other than adjoiners, what are other things that you find as you go out and do retracements, as you guys are hired by either other surveyors when they're a complicated survey, or when you're hired maybe as a third party to resolve a dispute between, not necessarily a dispute, but a challenge or a disagreement between two surveys? Are y'all ever hired to do something like that?
Yes.
Yes.
And what are some of the common things that you find, or are there any, or is every one of them unique?
Well, I guess they probably are, and yet they're the same in a way that we look for the objects it's called for. And even passing calls are very helpful at times, even though they may not be located. A passing call is very helpful when you've got a call for a creek or a branch or somewhere crossing that line, or a gully or whatever it may call for. And when you go looking at all of these things, well, you can normally place that survey line in there where you figure the original surveyor was. I mean, it's pretty easy sometimes to look at aerials and quad sheets and all this kind of stuff and pick it up whatever has happened subsequently. When we were in Jim Hogg County, the surveyors down there that was in that controversy, they had found some original evidence out there, but they were so far off and far-fetched in their thinking of where they was, they didn't recognize they had found original corn until we found something that you could really say, this is the corn. Well, once they found that, those others began to fall in place. And that were what they were talking about. And that normally works out similar to that, if you get to the point. Yeah, every time you question, I feel where this is.
Well,